Okay, so here I have a piece of 6x6 cedar. It is clear cedar. I'm just going to mark the center of it as best I can. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a jam chuck. Kind of a jam chuck. What I'm going to do now is just basically center this on this board which is in my chuck, and then I will hot glue it to that to hold it. And thanks to a recent Mike Walt YouTube video, he was talking about glue guns and inferior glue guns. This was a cheap one which was good enough for the time being. It's only 10 watts of heat though, so it doesn't get as hot as my new gun, which is 40 watts of heat, which is obviously 4 times as hot and should do the job a lot better. Okay, so as you can see, the pith of the wood is right here, and I have actually counted the growth rings, and there is 93 growth rings. So that means that this tree was at least 93 years old, and I'm sure it was a lot older because I have no bark here, and the rings are fairly tight, so I'm sure that this was a fairly old tree. Alright, so I'm going to now take a pencil and decide where I want my bowl to be. It's going to be a fairly chunky bowl. It's going to be about that. It might be a little bit bigger, but it's going to be about that. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to use my my bowl gouge, and we're going to start hollowing this out, because eventually what I'm going to do is take this off of the glue chuck and we're going to burn the snot out of this thing, except the bowl itself. And then I'm going to brush it with a brass wire brush, and then I'm going to clear lacquer it. So I've seen a similar project on Facebook somewhere, and I do not recall whose it was, but I saved the image and I really like the look of the bowl. So I'll put an image on the screen of their bowl right here so you can see what I'm aiming for. So I'm not taking credit for the style or anything, but I just wanted to attempt this. Now the other guy used oak. This is in fact cedar, so we'll see how this takes to it, but I think it's going to be a fairly simple turn, hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see. Now, something that somebody pointed out to me recently at a wood turning meeting was that in a lot of videos you don't actually see how the tool is moving when you're doing wood turning. Quite often the camera view is right up close, looking at the nib of the tool and the piece of wood right here. You're not actually seeing the position of the person that's doing the work and the position of the tool, which is actually very important. Especially if you're new to wood turning, you need to know how to stand and how to approach a piece of wood. The way I'm going to approach this piece of wood is with the flute up. I'm going to come in with the flute up, and as I start eating into the wood, I'm going to close the flute to the direction that I want to go, and I'm going to maintain the bevel of that on the wood and make a nice sweeping position to the center of the wood. And I don't want to go beyond the center of the wood, because then the lathe is coming at me and it will throw the tool back at me. So let's have a go at this now. First of all, I want to make sure I'm on center. Right now I'm a little bit below center. Right there I'm cutting on center. As you can see, I would be cutting on center at this point. I'm going to approach the wood with the lathe spinning with the flute faced up like this. That will eat into the wood, and as I want to start moving into the center of the bowl, I will turn the flute sideways and work my way to the center of the bowl, not going beyond center, because the minute I go beyond the center it's going to bring the tool back and slam down onto the tool rest. Okay, so I have got this sanded. I'm at 320 grit right now, which is plenty enough for Yorkshire grit, we all know that. I'm actually just going to wet sand this in the middle here a little bit, because I find that really helps me get rid of any little fine lines that are left in it. I've mentioned that before, I often do this. Gives you an idea of the colour, make sure you don't miss any spots of tear out. A little bit there, hopefully I can get that now. So I'm going to continue sanding this. Reduces the sawdust when you wet sand it. The particles in the air. And I am happy with the inside finish of this bowl. So what we're going to do now is take this off of the chuck, bring it outside and set fire to the outside rim. Okay, so I have a butane torch. I'm simply going to try to burn the edges and the outside of this bowl and control it with a wet rag, water on a rag, and see how it goes. Okay, so now I'm going to approach it with a brass wire brush just to get some of the carbon off. And then we'll have to burn it again. Okay, so I have to clean the carbon out of the bowl, get all of that dirt out of there. And then I'm going to apply a sanding sealer to the inside. I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol to clean the grain just inside the bowl, to make sure there's no more burnt carbon inside the bowl itself. That's clean now. Okay, so now I can apply a little bit of sanding sealer to the inside of the bowl. Okay, so while I was outside, I sprayed this with sanding sealer all over, which sealed the charcoal, the particles of black powder from coming off in your hands. So I'm actually going to leave that like that. I could do a lot more with it, and I think in the future I will attempt more things. You could attack it with files and make big gouges out of it, and I think that would be quite effective too. But for this one, this is all I'm going to do with it. So right now I'm just going to lightly cut it back with a piece of 320, and then use Yorkshire grit on the inside and Hampshire sheen high gloss to make this centerpiece nice and smooth and shine. Just denibbing, just to denib that. Now put some Hampshire sheen on, just in the middle piece. I don't want it around the charcoal or the black portion of it. There's the inside finish, nice and smooth, and the outside distressed with the burning. So all I have to do now is remove the bowl from the base, and maybe I can do some pyro on the bottom side with my name and date and wood type. Looking at it again, after I got it off of the chuck, I noticed that the glue left a mark where I was burning, and also obviously the burning only goes down so far. And I've also decided that I think it's too thick. So I've decided that I'm going to put it on the bandsaw and cut some thickness away right now. And there it is. Thank you for watching. It's a 5-inch square bowl by 2.5 inches deep, clear cedar. It's end grain, and the outside, the burn area, is basically just finished with a sanding sealer so that the carbon doesn't come off in your hands. The underside I've left unfinished because it's cedar and it smells beautiful, and the inside is finished with Yorkshire grit and Hampshire sheen to get that nice smooth finish. So that'd be a great little change dish or something. Just something different, a bit of a talking piece that can sit on the table there, looking all distressed and everything. Anyway, I will leave a photograph at the end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Take care now.